guys, my name is Ali Games, and welcome back to Let's Play The Letter. Where we last left off, everyone is together, we got the main four together, we have been chased out of the house, out of Isabella's apartment by the ghost, and we have nowhere else to go but to the bar. We're gonna go drink our worries away for a little bit. But anyways, I think this is now, let's see, 2 days after the party. 2 days after the no, 3 days. And Marion is still unheard of. We still don't know what happened to her. We don't know if she's alive still, or if she's probably been killed by the ghost in that cellar place she was at that she got trapped in. But anyways, gonna keep on going. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything, and the next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards his station hours later. Whoops. I'm gonna say. After having gotten that much needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers line the counter's surface when I enter the room. Behind the bar, G is busy wiping each of them clean, likely prepping it for tonight's use. Briefly, he glances up at me once I claim one of the empty stools and grab a rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow, turning it absent-mindedly in my palm just to keep my hands occupied, while my brain's busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Even at a dead hour, with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, I've never grown fond of it. Regardless of how many times I made a trip or sat here, on the same spot, just talking with the old man. I've never been fond of drinking in the first place. Yet oddly, it's the nasty odor of a brewery that helps clear the mind this time. Along with the lack of the establishment's usual hubbub and occasionally clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, through my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth is curved up in a tight frown that he has questions, a bucket load of it, he wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work. Rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat. Going through the motions with such familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching the precise movements quietly like this, with these thoughts swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. One solid lead on this, one possible way to sort this out, but will it work? Especially if my assumption's correct that the reason Zach was there yesterday morning was because of the curse. Something must have happened there for him to see the need to visit the place that morning. What if the couple has fallen victim to the curse too? Oh, Hana has, at least. Don't know about Luke yet. It doesn't fall outside the realm. Well, he seemed fine the day after, I think. It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased, not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, keep doing that. During the house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... fuck.
Stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
That's likely the moment when Cooper saw it. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right away. If there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there, where all of this fucking mess started. It's not only my life on the line here. There are others. What happened to us? I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them. Or how complicated all this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion, and now there are the voices lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
It's because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
A reminder of what I failed to do and of who I failed. At some point, they all begin to blur together, twining and coiling. Every horrid image and memory of her, seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of it.
You doing good there, boy?
No, doing horrible. His hand is on my shoulders, gripping it tightly and giving me a light shake. There's relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people, after all. Even someone who can be as closed off or distant like me. In all the time I spent in the forest, there's only one other person who's been as keen as this old guy, the chief. Funny, and weird to some degree. I pointed out to him so many times before how much they look alike, only for the observation to be brushed off with a vehement tone. I never brought it up again after the third time, out of respect for the guy. Whatever it is, it's clear it's something he doesn't want to talk about. Maybe they're brothers. Why push, right? However, during times like this, it's impossible for the thought not to come up. He even has the glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a damn rookie again.
You're looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me. I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Now with her face still a clear picture in my head, no.
I heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time? This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
I wish it were.
Ew.
Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you this stressed out since I closed that case. The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
Really, I can use some right now. Something to numb the senses. But when has that helped anyone?
In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the hard stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
Hey, I can handle my
Lovely.
liquor when I put my mind to it.
Not from what I've seen, nope. Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslum?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it.
I'm surprised he
Bloody
hasn't mentioned
locals.
anything about Marion, that she hasn't shown up in
Well,
a few
my friend
days.
found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a long moment, G stands there, unmoving. His hand stops short of placing the glass he's been wiping prior back to a rack on his shelf. All while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago I'd been put in the same position. Even now, in spite of the things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Or maybe this is just desperation creeping in. The idea that I may not be able to find a way out of this. Whatever the case is, for people who hasn't experienced what I'm going through, this will merely sound like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
This must have been what Isabella felt the whole time we made fun of her that
This
day.
isn't a prank. I saw something.
Now it's too late. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare, where the only way out might be death. And like I've expected, G's reaction to it? Amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole pub after a long bout of silence. Like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay. Good one, kid.
No, stop it.
You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
Although I want to be angry with him, I can't find it in myself. Can't even muster the energy for a scowl or a glare. Nothing but a taste of my own medicine to temper the annoyance bubbling up in me, I suppose. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, alright, good luck with that. You're on your own. Here I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
He shakes his head, lets out another chuckle before returning to his task. By now, almost half of the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kind used for shots and stemmed ones for the cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking, as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that, if the wistful expression on him says anything.
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. Has always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now
Not
he's
this
here,
time.
sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
I must have screwed up a lot. Shush, phone. I heard you. For things to suddenly shift like this. For me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be.
No, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stop calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
That's what they say, but not that much anymore. A significant pause follows at its heels. From both of us, as he allows its meaning to sink in and spur something in me, stirring a feeling both heavy and forceful, but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply, or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away to begin his work on the silverwares. He'll need those too, once one of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy. A sharp contrast with the strained air we've been wading through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it all ends with this loud shuffling of foot from the adjacent hallway, a sigh is all that leaves me. There's no need for me to look up to know who it is. Zach's treads alone are telling. There's always a weighted set to them, steps that are taken with a lazy cadence. Like he's always trying to make himself smaller, less conspicuous than he actually is. In a place he's unfamiliar with, he also tends to linger, stand awkwardly at the sides, as if he's all too afraid to break something. That, or he's waiting for permission of some kind. Either way, he's never been the kind to barrel headfirst into things for forego courtesy, despite appearances. Much like how Rebecca's mother-heading belly belies her fiery temperament, or Isabel's rare displays of maturity appears at odds with her youth. There's been a lot of those in my life, it seems, more so from the people I've grown closer to over the years. Walking contradictions, we all are. It's a wonder how we ended up as friends in the first place. But maybe that's also why, to some extent, there's a still understanding in there, in knowing, that no matter how long you've been together, or how familiar you are with the person's habits, or how many lifetimes there might be for all of you, one can never fully know a person. Sometimes it works because they merely chose to stay. Sometimes it's as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology, regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey, Ash?
This time I glance at him, briefly, gauging the mood. Not because reconciliations are an issue for me. Between us, it never will be. But somehow, this is another thing I'm all too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word. If this is going to end in another argument, we might as well stop as early as now. There's another long pause from him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. In the end, he chooses to stuff both into his pockets and train his eyes at the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, G has slipped back to the kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Still, Zach trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice, simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
It's a start at least. A stiff one, but a start. The least I can offer in return is rare honesty.
For a few hours, yeah.
Kurt brusque, not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zack takes it as a sign. Relief washes over him as his shoulders relax and he releases a tense breath. Soon, he's closing the distance he has put between us and flops onto the chair to my right.
I think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
He shifts in his seat, coughs, drums his fingers on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it. No apologies. Somehow that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. Maybe not for the better. Not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment. The kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking at any time, it's these little hope we cling to. It's these little things we wish will happen again. I'm not an optimistic person by nature. Hopeful maybe, but never optimistic. Although I want to believe there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. It's just funny how it took all of this to spur these kinds of thoughts in me. I can't even remember the last time something like it has occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zack, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash. Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. It can't be any worse than this. Maybe. What's on your mind, Ash?
There really is something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I won't normally say to the other. Unlike her, who pushes, sometimes with the same tenacity as her moods, Zack has the strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Oftentimes, the question feels so subtle it catches me off guard, with less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, he's like the older brother I never had, the kind you can depend on when things go sour. The kind you can tell things to simply because he'll listen, without forcing his own opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
It doesn't take him long to put two and two together. His calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry, the second he realizes what I meant. We've already examined the letter, read through piles of documents. There's really only one we haven't given a once-over. The mansion. Of course, Zack may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet through the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
It's out the window now.
You're an unarmed civilian, Zack.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, if that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede. Not from the manner he grips his knees or the ridges set to his jaw.
I'm going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
Before I could stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. It's one of those times again where Zack means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. How and where do I even start? Oh man. He won't get in the way, but I don't think he'll get in the way, really. I don't know. I don't think he'll get in the way. I think he can help, but I'd rather him be there and be here and be a lot safer than where we're going. Feel better if I don't have to worry about you. Yeah, it went up. It went up. Because telling him he'll get in the way is like a dick. It's a dick thing to say. There are only two ways this will end. I agree with him and take him with me, or I agree with him and drop the idea altogether. Neither appeals more than the other, especially when we're all desperate for answers and a way out. If all it'll take is a little more honesty to make him drop this harebrained idea, so be it.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zach. Zachary, listen. I know you only want to help.
Like hell! This ain't just about helping, Ashton! You're throwing yourself in the thick of it, on your own! Was your fall last night really that bad? Did you hit your head hard?
Yeah.
I honestly can't tell if you've gone stupid or just plain suicidal.
My head's okay, Zach. But it won't stay that way if we don't do anything about this. Someone has to.
Seriously, this is already a desperate move. The longer we dally, the faster we're losing our options. Do we even have one? Looking back at it, this whole business with the ghost seems perfectly set up to drive us into a corner. Either until we lose our mind or she gets us. It's starting to feel as if there isn't an escape. We've already become her playthings the second Isabella found that letter. That our lives are in her hands ticks me off big time. But the idea of watching the people I care about die helplessly? More so. They're much safer here than with me. It's a selfish thought, I know, born out of fear. So in case things go awry, the very last thing I want to happen is for Zach to take the fall with me. I've already made enough mistakes.
And that means it's just you.
Just me.
Suddenly he clams up. Although his actions... The restless shift in his shoulders, his mouth pressing close to the tight line, and how he starts off again in a quiet tone. It all gives away his real thoughts, long before two words have even made it out of his mouth.
I'm sure you already know about this. Maybe this is you trying to make amends, or whatever. I don't know. You're making your own decisions here. But if something happens to you, it'll be just that. You'll just be another dead body out there. Please, don't do something like this.
Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to get myself killed. I just want things to go back to normal, Zach.
Another dead air follows at the heels of that one admission. The meaning of my words, too heavy, too striking. It stuns us into another lull. Optimism aside, we're both aware that it's impossible. We're both going to have to deal with the trauma right after. There will be the images, the voices whispering inside our heads, the foreboding feeling, the stench of blood, gore, and death trailing after us. We may survive this, but those things, they will remain in us for a long time. One does not survive something like this without it leaving something in you. Just the mere thought of what might come right after makes me dread it. But this has changed in us all. And what has changed in all of us. I suppose that outcome is more acceptable. The lesser of the two evils.
3 hours.
My head snaps up and I turn to him, puzzled. He's staring at his hands with a thoughtful expression, brows furrowed in deep concentration. Like he's trying to choose the right words to convey about what he's trying to say, what he's about to say.
3 hours? For what?
That's more than enough time to go there, to check things, like you said, and travel back here. If you don't show up here beyond that, I'm going after you.
From his tone, it sounds almost like a warning. Not sure if it's not his intention. But hearing something like that from a person like Zach, can't help but chuckle and throw in a jibe despite how dire things are. Just like the old times.
Make that 4.
What? You said you're just gonna check things.
It's a big mansion, man!
Why would you even need that long?
Speed limit? I'm a ranked law enforcement officer, Zach. I'm supposed to set an example.
I so wanna punch you right now.
Of course, Zach never carries it out. In light moments like this, it's just how he is. How we are. Unfortunately, G chooses the next moment to show up. He slams the flat of his palm on the counter and shooting us both a stern look. Although his tone's nothing short of jovial, the disapproval's clear in it. He's obviously misunderstanding the situation.
Boys, drummer's nice and all. I used to watch these bloody god-awful afternoon serials with one of my brothers many years ago.
Are you triplets with the chief?
But listen, I am not having
Oh,
one of
that'd be
my pub,
funny.
all right? You two want to fight? Go out.
A pregnant pause. Then without any preamble, Zach and I both snickering and G's glower melts into confusion. Then when we both show no sign of stopping, he simply shakes his head and turns away. I'd like to think it's better this way. Better that we part on light terms, so Zach will have to see every little insecurity, every little doubt in me right now. He's seen enough. The last thing I want him to glimpse is another display of weakness. Not when he still stares at me with the same unerring confidence in his eyes. When our mirth dies down, before anything can be said further, before I change my mind, I step away from them, giving Zach's shoulder a quick few pats, mumbling a lame excuse about taking another short nap under my breath. Altogether burying the stray thought that flashes fleeting in my head. Zach has seen me at my lowest plenty of times. Why does it all matter now? The sun hangs lower than when I stumble back into consciousness and drag myself downstairs. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He has always complained about the lack of a decent crowd on a weak start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one wants to start the week with a bad case of a hangover after all, even him. Which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too odd. Why is he like that? What's the matter? With the kind of danger we're in, this seriously puts me on the edge, even before sleep completely fades from my mind.
Something wrong, G?
G hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in it despite his casual and open movements. And only after he finishes wiping a tumbler and carefully settles it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want to check on your friends, kid. Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Another question forms in my head along with a small confused frown. Though, before a single syllable slips past my mouth, Rebecca's irate voice rings out from some part of the main lounge. From the sound of it, it appears woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement.
Alone? You know we can't just go in there. But we don't have any other choice, Becca. There's really no other way. We have to go there. If you'll just...
Isabella, no.
That doesn't sound too comforting. Once Rebecca assumes that kind of tone in an argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out or both giving the other the silent treatment. It lasts for about a week at most if it's really bad, which really isn't what we need right now. I hope the bad blood from this morning will simply blow over. After all of us has gotten a decent rest. I should have expected things would be the same with them as it is with Zach and I. Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. Even G appears to understand it. In spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible, there's a tense set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes, as it occasionally flickers over where Rebecca and Isabella's voices are coming from. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Things have worked out well between them before without Zach or I meddling. But the employing gaze G directs at me before leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing.
Sounds like a pub I'd go to.
Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw two girls out of this place over a petty argument.
It's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already shouting like that, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of a sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave into it shortly after. Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. But part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even knew. He barely even knows, maybe? Once this is over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. But gotta get to this before it turns into a shitstorm both of them will regret. And I know both of them will. For all of Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the other's childlike demeanor, it's a friendship they both cherish in their own way. Rebecca's already on her feet when I spot them in an almost deserted area of the pub. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's crossed. I can't speak for Isabella. I rarely ever see her seething, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. Alright, let's see this real quick. After the argument at the park, Ashton took his friends someplace where they could rest. Welcomed them to his pub without question. While the others were sleeping, the detective and the bartender had a little chat about the past and what changed over the years. Zachary's arrival interrupted Ashton's conversation with G. Left alone, the two attempted to mend things between them, only for things to almost turn sour after Ashton revealed his plans to return to the mansion. His friend eventually acquiesced after Ashton agreed to a time limit. Alright. Damn. We're actually almost halfway through. The way she's glaring up at the redhead from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Empty plates have been left neatly piled in one corner of the table they occupy, a conversation that turned sour sometime after a late lunch then. Good thing they're already done and nothing's left to be spilled. Because of the next moment, before I can approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends the silverware clinking sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily, we both do, though she shows no indication of surrendering in the face of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this let a ghost everything.
You're blaming me again?
And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess. You keep on putting the blame
There
on me,
you go.
but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you. If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish. I'm the one who's selfish, yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry. This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache. You know why I had to come here. My dad. Your dad has nothing to do with this. It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Maybe I should have stepped in earlier. Maybe I should have said something the moment Rebecca has slammed the flat of her hand on the table, or the second I've entered the area. Either way, it's too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two. Words more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging a wound too deep in the person they've been aimed at. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence, while Rebecca stands unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavy. Despite the lack of words between them, they're both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet each other's eyes. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere in the room turns thick and smothering. A strained air no one in the immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break, until the one at its center does so. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she has grown to become a woman firm with her opinions. She's never going to back down from this, not when she knows she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there has always been a certain stubbornness in her. As frustrating as it is to see sometimes, it's what's gotten her through life's hardships. Perhaps even the only thing that has. When you have nothing else, people tend to cling on to what they have within themselves instead. But she also knows when to withdraw, when a struggle turns it useless, a kind of awareness almost second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches toward the exit, in fast, rigid steps, away from the hurt and pained words they've let fly earlier. She bumps into me in her haste, the impact nearly knocking her off her feet. Instinct kicks in at the last moment, and I reach out for her, grabbing her arm in a steadying grip. Surprise flits across her face, an expression mirrored by Rebecca behind her. Neither of them have noticed me. However, that doesn't mean I won't have things to say about this. Oh, man. I can't agree with Rebecca! Because she's being a total bitch! Like, I can't do that! Yes, Isabella should probably have left the note where she found it. But she did tell us not to read it! But they fucking read it anyway! So, When Ashton showed up at the pub's main lounge again, he caught Rebecca and Isabella in the middle of an argument. The latter insisted on going to the mansion, which the former strongly opposed. However, before Ashton could step in, Harsh words had already been said. I'm sorry, I can't agree with Rebecca. I cannot... Whoops, not that. I can't agree with Rebecca at all. And this is gonna take her, like, probably all the way down, but I can't do it.
Okay.
I can't do it. Rather than answer, once her shock subsides, she immediately averts her gaze and hastily wipes the tears off her cheeks, like she only noticed them in that moment. Then without another word or even meeting my eyes again, she gently brushes away my hand and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair Isabella has just left, gingerly reaching out to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. It's no excuse for her to say those things, though, and my disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down into a tight frown. I cross my arm in response, waiting. A reaction verging on instinctive on the face of her irritation. Regardless of my opinions about this, I don't say anything yet, not until she is the one willing to talk. Another minute passes while we stare each other down, but eventually, she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash?
What the fuck is your problem, is what I want to know.
If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Did you really have to say it like that?
Well, how do you want me to answer her? Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do was stop her.
Did you even see how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point, but please be a little more thoughtful next time. Go think about it for a while.
By some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Rebecca elects to stay silent, or at least it's how it seems when a minute or two passes and she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something inexplicably flickers momentarily in her eyes, when that quickly disappears until only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We will never be the same person we once were. And if it's for the better, we've yet to know. A lull has descended in the main lounge once I return. G is nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle out instead of in, and by the time we get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon those people too will be gone, and the whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state always lends the place an entirely different vibe. Along with the soothing strum of, strains and the steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. A far cry from times I've been here before. And perhaps, it's for this reason why Isabella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room, and one of the tables set right beside the windows. G usually keeps these curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. The late afternoon light spills through it, outlining her small form and pulling on the surface of the table, where both her arms rest. In her hand, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from one side to the other without any purpose. The letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it, yet there's something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. Something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones. The ones where she's too still, too quiet. A complete opposite of her usual self. But it's these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery disposition or her lively attitude, but these short few seconds of wordless silence, when the softest sighs and the slightest movement sing louder. The smallest minuscule things that tell you about the person and her strength more than any words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts. She glares at me annoyed, and just like that, all of it melts away. Gone is the stillness, replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly jibes. Back again to what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar, where every truth we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
But she's far from angry. A bit upset, maybe, But who wouldn't be? While I do agree with Rebecca, her words still hit below the belt. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me. At least compared to every other person. I think that's supposed to say. At least compared to every other person I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may do just the trick and coax her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She levels a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive enough to drain every color out of the room. It's as if I told her a terrible joke and she's expecting there'll be more of it. Really now. She needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
Yet it sounds half-hearted at best. Like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her. Now that's left are the words. Pretty soon those two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to shit. I'd like at least this one thing to stay normal. So somehow we manage. We continue for the better half of the hour, talking, joking, with our short, feeble responses and banter that never goes anywhere. But it's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos and death shadowing over us, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. It's her smile, her laughter, when it finally rings, easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
A pause. And then she frowns as realization slowly dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually settling on a grimace.
Oh.
Suddenly, she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter she's trying to contain.
You're awful, and I really hate you. Just leave.
It's contagious, her mirth. Soon I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that's piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care, till only a familiar warmth lingers, once both of amusement ebbs away. Somehow with her, these things have always come easy.
Feeling better?
A little. You're still lame.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If glares can kill, with the ones she sends my way, I'll probably be dead by now. Seeing it directed my way, it takes only a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. How wrong and rude it must have sounded in her ears, however unintentional it was. I've never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it intensified, like the brewing storm. In the face of it, under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with a good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should...
Thanks, Ash.
She utters all of it in a voice too small, too quiet. But when I turn to her, only those words, her gratitude, resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clinking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading into silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze, as she holds mine, that lingers. Steady, unflinching, and open. In the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then. How easy it is for her to wear her heart on her sleeve. How she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go through everything without losing herself. Now it's among the hundreds, the thousands that hang unspoken between us. Trivial little things with worth still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early, or because there's never really a proper time. For now, though, this'll do. Until the moment itself dwindles. Until reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things we've set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
He's never gonna tell her, is he?
I should probably apologize to Becca. I know she only means well. And I said some really bad things.
The corners of her mouth quirks up. And once she's too ashamed of the things she said.
Don't worry. She can be pretty stubborn, but she'll listen. Especially to you.
You think?
You're one of the few people she likes. She won't stay angry for long. I can vouch for it.
You said it lasts for like a week. She has a point, though. Isabella freezes. In an instant, the pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenched so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale.
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have, after all. But Rebecca also has a point I will always agree with, no matter how desperate I am. It's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there? If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll even be in greater danger. Hence, alone. Exactly as I have told Zach. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority. I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So I tell her as much, despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. Anything to keep her safe. Oh, man. It's fine.
Forget
It's
it,
dangerous.
Belle. You're not going back to that mansion.
But Ash, what about...
This isn't up for debate. Do you really think they'll just let you in? Do you really think they'll give a damn if you walk in there carrying that stupid letter of all things?
No, but there has to be something we can tell them. Ash, they were with me during the open house. They have to know.
Yeah.
They're in as much trouble as we are. They're living in that place. That ghost woman came from there. Both her and the letter. Something's in that house, Ash. And whatever it hides might be the only thing that'll get us out of this mess.
All right. Supposing you do find an answer there. What happens? Let's say that by some dumb luck, you got inside and found something. What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do?
Run?
It's not like we have any other choice. Besides, I'm pretty sure you've already thought of the same thing. Admit it.
That doesn't mean I'm going to let you run straight into trouble. What you're planning to do is risky. For you. Give it up, Isabella.
Unexpectedly, Isabella merely clams up. No resistance. No further argument like I've come to expect from her. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin, till the air in the whole room goes awkward and suffocating. A standstill that'll get us nowhere. Although, if there's one thing our talk has wonderfully succeeded at, is making me feel like a total asshole and a hypocrite. And I am, considering my plans tonight. Sure, I could tell her, but what good will it do? I've already told Zach. One person is enough. How simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening that circle and revealing too much will just cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least of where I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I've only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry my entire scheme entails. I like to think that, yes, to some extent she understands, even if she does not entirely agree with me. The dilemma's clear in her. Otherwise, her scowl won't have a deeper set to it. Her lips won't be pressed in a thin line, or her hand will no longer be balled into fists. She would have pushed that argument if she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say. Maybe it's because she has already heard the same thing from Rebecca. Maybe my words have made her come to her senses. Either way, it's best that we simply leave it here for now. I stand up as soon as footsteps shuffle from the next room. As Kate is slow and hesitant. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, clutching her hands firmly in front of her and sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She casts me a cursory look, then shifts a nervous one to Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eye. Their fights never did last long.
Belle, can we talk? Alone?
Her interruption could not have come sooner, and I'm all the more glad for it. Whatever kind of friendship I share with the two, this remains something for only the two of them, much like my own with Zach. I'm the outsider, They don't need me here. It's all the reason I need. Buttering an excuse, I made a hazy exit out of the main lounge and leave them to mend things on her own. Before Isabella could say anything that she's been mulling over. Before the last imploring glance that she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory. One that spurs the conscious, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Galloway Shaw's Monday night crowd, although small and barely occupies a quarter of the whole pub, provides ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Just exactly what I need tonight, with the lively music and chatter slipping out mostly unseen because of a piece of cake. Oh, she's gonna find out where you are anyway, bruh. I just have that feeling. Without much trouble, soon enough, I find myself standing outside under the chilly Luxborn night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, carrying the telltale smell of an impending rain. Excuse me, I'll give it about an hour or two before it starts. From the looks of it, tonight will be another downpour, maybe even stronger than the one we've had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket, hugging its thick material closer to my body, while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The letter crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I pay no mind as I hurry towards my car. I've nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings on my way out. This is all connected. I need this damn piece of paper with me. However ridiculous as it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed either, but I can't waste time here and wait for her to find out, can I? 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. 3 if I'm inclined to go by the rules Z-Man set, but when have I ever? Regardless of how generous that is, each second's as important as the next. So I hurry, one footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second. It's practically a universal rule. And it does. In the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Okay, it's either Isabella or Zach. Rebecca! Okay! Cool! Interesting! Not who I was expecting. Rebecca turns just as I near, the corners of her mouth twitching up in a wry smile. She offers no greeting except for a slight tilt of her head. Even as my pace slows and I look at her with all the unvoiced questions in my eyes, she remains wordless, merely throwing her head back and shifting her attention up at the starless sky when I come to stand beside her. Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, weary, thick, with something close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away, while she hugs her arms closer to herself to keep warm, which raises the questions why she's out here. The air is already heavy with the promise of rain. With clouds obscuring the view, there's really nothing left to look at but a dark blanket of nothingness. Still, she stands here as she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That, or she's here for some other reason. I hope she just goes out and tells him how she feels. But before I can voice a single word, express disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting off the rest of my question.
I'm not here to stop you. Wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight, I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice. Even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
The confidence in my voice, in my own words, surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If this fails, if I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off from. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
I can try, but you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. to all of us.
Yeah.
And it made me realize plenty of things about myself, about us.
Rebecca trails off. Suddenly a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before, and every time I see it on her, it's usually followed by a memory, a silly story, even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who will much rather forget, she remembers each of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times again.
Do you remember that one time back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but
think
it's nothing like that.
I'll end this episode when we get to the mansion,
We're
whenever
not
that
friends.
is.
Not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
She makes it sound like I'm some sort of hero. Mandy was in the wrong. Of course I'll defend her. And no one's gonna stand up for her, who else will? Chances are, it would have escalated and who knows? Maybe she would have stopped going to school or transferred. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should know better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is what's right. It's simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that. A fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is...
Say it!
This time, I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens. Ash, I've always been in love with you.
Yes! Thank you! She says it so plainly, holding my gaze in a voice too frank, that her admission stuns me into silence. Like the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, she continues, desperate to express everything she has kept to herself all these years. Thank God! This is what the fondness is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any feelings of nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary, since I made that promise to never leave, I've always truly loved you.
Afterwards, there's relief, a weight suddenly being lifted from her shoulders after so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath, but he doesn't feel the same. When she looks back to me, though, there's nothing but hope in them, eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself grasping, scrambling for words. Because as much as this pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's asking from me. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. But that never automatically means I'll ever hold for her feelings that goes beyond the boundaries of friendship. I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad that she has stuck with me even through the toughest moments, even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She's a close, important friend to me, but nothing more.
Rebecca,
I draw in a breath, ragged, unsure, uncertain how and which words to put together, so it will hurt her less. So the wounds they might leave won't be as deep or scar. In the end, I can only utter an apology.
really sorry, Becca. I'm glad, I'm happy you feel that way, but I can't. I can't. There's already someone that I'm in love with.
Oh my god, this is a mess.
Someone else.
It takes all my willpower to force myself to even look at her. For sure there will be hurt. Maybe she'll even be angry, and I don't hold it against her. And sure enough, when our eyes meet again, her mouth has already settled into a tight line, and she assumes a rigid pose. There's a sharpness to her gaze, but behind it is pain, undeniable, searing. Something that she tries to hide by hastily looking away and stepping back. Oh my god,
Becca,
this
I
hurts.
know this.
Oh, it hurts!
It's all right, Ashton. You don't have to
Ugh!
explain anything.
Yeah, but I should.
I told you, no need. it's not like I didn't have an idea or anything.
Oh, you
When
did.
you think about it, it's really quite obvious. The way you've always looked at her said everything. Anyway, let's just end this conversation here, all right? I don't think it would do us both any good. This is going to get really awkward if we keep at it. When all has been said and done, at least I told you, right? Maybe I can finally let this whole thing go. Who knows? Thanks for hearing me out, though. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you won't do anything dumb, all right?
She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she flashes me one last strange smile before walking away, while the only thing I can do is watch her retreating back. In that one moment, one conversation, something also breaks between us. Something irreparable. A different kind of regret. Haunting me amidst the silence of my car as I drive off and leave it all behind. Yeah, 'cause that will break your friendship. That is a friendship breaker right there. Within 10 minutes, I'm driving out of Luxport and heading straight for Anslem Village. In the distance, flashes of lightning upon the horizon, white and sharp against the black curtain of the night. Thunder threatens with a rumble, seconds later, echoing long across the sky. And with one last roar, shush phone, the sky is open in earnest. November 1st! We have made it to the final day! Yay! It actually looks like this actually looks like how it was in the beginning of the game. Anyways, I'm going to leave this off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you liked it, leave a comment if you liked it, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye! Look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. Suspects, mostly murderers, never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the